according to the times that you and I are living in right now, Apophis, which was found in 2004 and was tracked by, is obviously being tracked by space agencies and stuff like that. This isn't and this could easily be argued, this is not the deception of Three Eye Atlas, which out of nowhere on July 1st of this year, they suddenly come out and start saying all these fantastic things about it. It's turning color, it's doing all weird things. What if it really was? Then it could be no other but the signs in the heavens from God. But when I look at everything surrounding Apophis, which they gave the designation 99942, which is just a form of sigil magic, where they reverse everything around on us. It's not hard to discern if you've been in the scriptures for any length of time and you're willing to take leaps. I believe people who are who really love God, I think those who see the most are willing to take those leaps. I'm not saying you're saved or you're not saved because you're taking leaps and believing certain things, except for the faith of God, faith in God. They gave the designation back in 2004, that's 21 or 22 years ago almost, of 99942, which you reverse that, and that's 66642. And then I made a video showing you, just add them up. It's 33. Their magic number 33, but they like to play around with us because it's 33rd degree Freemason. This is what they do, and you know it if you've been looking into this stuff for any length of time. Not only that, but they're saying they're sending out an Osiris. That's a great name, right? Osiris, the god Osiris. It goes right back all the way to Nimrod. I don't put a lot of time. I have studied those things, but I don't put a lot of time into those so-called gods. The one eye. That's why they give the one eye and stuff. The story of Horus and Osiris, and so they said they're sending an Osiris mission to intercept Apophis. I would have to read their website very quickly for you. For some reason, I'm really drawn to this subject. And one of the reasons is because I see, I've probably spent a number of hours searching through all the videos about Apophis that I could from Christians. And I can't find a single person who is saying definitively that this is Wormwood. Pardon me. And so there's just so much surrounding this that I want to say it in the right way and ask God to lead me to make sure I tell you this in the correct manner, because there's some things in this that you may not agree with me. And before I go any further, I want you to know that even if you disagree with me, that's fine. The purpose of this is I'm telling you that it's Wormwood. I see no evidence to the contrary according to the times. I see no evidence to the contrary. It's here at a perfect time. So what they're telling us, and Tom Horn did believe this, and this is why I started to listening to the things he was saying. I have not read his book, Apophis 2025, and I haven't read his other book, Zeitgeist, and I won't. But he said that, okay, this is coming from a man that his prophecies have become, he's 100% on prophecy. When the Pope stepped down for the first time in 600 years, Pope Benedict, he was writing a book called Petrus Romanus. And I like Tom Horn. I believe that man is saved. I think he's a very interesting man. And he said, you can go watch through all his videos of all his interviews. What interested him the most was Apophis, and he was following it. So he predicted that the Pope was going to step down. No one had any evidence that he was going to do so, and how could Tom Horn? How could he be on the inside of that? But he predicted that he was going to step down, and he stepped down, and he got it correct. And after that, all the media started to phone him and ask him what was his insiders. People, like, not just from Catholic news and that, no, it was from like CNN and all different places around the world. Because think of the effect of the Catholic Church, man. It's big. It's like 1.2 billion people. Pardon me, I gotta take a sip here. So he got that right. Right? He's not like the other prophets of late that we see, false prophets I may add, that we know have become manifest, the pre-trib ones. So what he said is right. He had a vision, he said, and I don't disbelieve this vision. He said he found himself on a hill surrounded by thousands of people, and he saw Wormwood. And he just remembers that everyone started running. And I don't know how to explain any more of that right now because I haven't seen it in a while. But it was Wormwood. And when he woke up, he said he heard the voice, Apophis. He said whether it was from God or it was just in his mind. Nevertheless, it came to his mind. So he took a great interest, and he said he died. His wife, while he was having the vision, this was in the early morning hours, was trying to revive him. And when he woke up, he was alive. So he was talking about this consistently on, it doesn't matter what shows he went on, okay? He was consistently speaking about it. And he was following this Apophis. He knew it was Wormwood. It fit the picture. But Tom Horn died. But before he died, he said something super important. And what he said came true. That's what matters to me. What is that? And so that would only be half the prophecy then being fulfilled so far of that. I'm going to take a bite of food here. Pay close attention to this. Why would you not listen to this? Pardon me. And if I get a call and I have to go to my door, just mind me. Trying to catch my breath. When you look in Revelation, one is Wormwood. Wormwood is, I think, Trumpet 3, right? The first, Trumpet 1 is, let's read it. This is really interesting. I cannot pull myself away from this because I know that God's wrath is Apophis, when Apophis strikes the earth. So it's probably important to say this. And what I want is more people to see my video, so please share it. Because, man, I got to think of catchy titles and stuff like that. I'm not like that, I want to make sure as many people see this as possible. Because I believe we have our salvation in sight. And what comes in between then, who knows? But I'm going to talk about the in-between after this, because that's really important too. What was I going to say? It's just my pain, guys, that makes me forget things in my mind at certain points. Now let's take a look at seal 6. Now I saw when the Lamb opened the seals, so it goes through all the seals, right? Let's go to seal. This is where the pre-tribbers have it all wrong. We have to go through all the seals. What do we hear throughout the Bible? We hear that we are not destined to wrath. That leaves us with a perfect question. When is wrath? We know we're saved at that point. I don't know how anyone could argue against that point. Sixth seal. I looked when he opened the sixth seal, and behold, there was a great earthquake. And the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became like blood. And the stars of heaven fell to the earth as a fig tree drops its late figs when it's shaken by a mighty wind. Then the sky receded as a scroll when it's rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved out of its place. And the kings of the earth, the great men, rich men, commanders, mighty men, every slave, free man, hid themselves in the caves of the rocks and the mountains. What do you see right now? They're building millions. I'm not wrong in my number. Do you know these places that are building these bunkers? There's so many more of them now, and they're full. Good luck trying to get your job done. They are so full with people getting their bunkers made. And said to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come. It said it twice, and who is able to stand? There it is. For the first time it says, from the wrath of the Lamb. Sentence underneath, 6:17. For the day of his wrath is come. We are not destined to wrath. There is the first mention of it. So we know we're saved at that point. Should I read Revelation 7? After these things I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth or on the sea or any tree. Then I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. This reminds me of Ezekiel. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was granted to harm the earth and the sea. Do not harm the sea, the trees, till we have sealed the servants of the God on their foreheads. We're saved. And I heard the number of those who were sealed. And I'm not up for debate in this. 144,000 of all the tribes of children of Israel. And you may say we're saved at seal 6, and this is referring to other people, right? You're going to say, oh, this is the Jews or whatever it may be. That's okay. I'm not here for that debate. Of the tribe of Judah were sealed Reuben, Gad, Asher, Naphtali, Manasseh, Simeon, Levi, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, Benjamin, 12,000 each. And after these things I looked, and behold, a great multitude, which no one could number, of all nations, tribes, peoples, and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb. That's us. Clothed with white robes, with palm branches in their hands, crying out with a loud voice, salvation belongs to our God who sits on the throne and to the Lamb. And all the angels stood around, and the elders and the 4 living creatures fell on their faces before the throne and worshiped God, saying, Amen, blessing and glory and wisdom, thanksgiving and honor and power and might be to our God forever. Amen. Then one of the elders answered and said to me, Who are these arrayed in white robes, and where did they come from? And I said, Sir, you know. So he said to me, These are the ones who come out of great tribulation, and washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore they are before the throne of God, and serve him night and day in his temple. I'm not going to go further. I'm going to go on to Revelation 8. God will wipe away every one of their tears. So, you could go one of 2 ways and say, it looks like there's 2 different groups of people there. But I just don't think so. Seal 6, you may say we're saved then, but that's not the content of this video. And then people try to differ the tribulation from the great tribulation. I just think there's a tribulation. That's what I think. So it's quite clear for you and I who believe now that we're saved at seal 6. That's what I do believe. Keep following. Now let's go to Revelation 8. So now I'm going to explain something to you before I read Revelation 8. So this is after those chapters. Now is the time for me to explain to you our world since 2019. All of a sudden a pandemic comes in. It wipes out hundreds, millions of lives. It's all in deceit. There's the biggest wealth transfer in history. The mega wealthy, ultra wealthy gain $1.8 trillion in those 3 or 4 years. That's all you need to know. All of them. All the computer companies, all of the social media companies, $1.8 trillion. They wiped people out. They took hundreds of thousands of businesses. Well, from what I know, it's over 100,000 businesses. You understand just how much that is. The wealth gap just went from here to there, right? Now they own the earth. They're trying to get under our skin. All of a sudden, where you had to watch on certain specific governmental channels, parliamentary sessions, the Senate, the Congress, in Canada, the Parliament, you had to turn to C-SPAN and those types of things. But because social media was really born in 2015, has already wrecked our world in just under 10 years. It's apparent that our world is dying. They're flooding our country with mass immigrants. Canada, anywhere from 500,000 to 1 million per year. That's gone up exponentially by like 5 times. What are they doing? You go into an ER here. This is the same throughout the West. You go into an ER, but especially Canada and like the UK, and it's plugged up with migrants. We pay our taxes, and we're paying for people. They're bringing in people who are not vetted for skills, and they're raising the Palestinian flag. Do you see it? It's happening in Canada. It's happening in Australia. Man, it's happening everywhere. There's, unrest all over the earth. No Kings rallies with, Donald Trump, who I believe wholeheartedly is the antichrist. And if you can't see that, that's okay. I pray that you do. He is fulfilling every prophecy. He prospers by deceit. Man, it took me a while to gain the totality of this man and how deceptive he is. He lied to you. He's the Antichrist. He makes these symbols just like Elon Musk. That's why they always make them. MAGA, churchofsatan.com. Go look at the hierarchy. MAGA is the highest priest. Do you know who they really belong to? Go look at Donald Trump's building in, whether it's New York City or Chicago. He lives on the 66th floor. His building is 666 feet high. He has the biggest hexagram symbol etched into his building, 6 floors by 6 floors by 6 floors. Who in God's name do you think this man is? Does he have to put a big 666? It's okay. Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, already bought that. If you don't understand yet, that's fine. But I'm trying to make a thorough video. So, I go through all these videos. I try to look. I don't know why. Listen, here's my question, and I should have asked this at the beginning. How do you not see that these things are so? They're here at the time when they're supposed to be. So, do you see what they're doing to us? They're deceiving us. Like in the West, they're grooming kids. You know, when we lived in a society where pedophilia was the worst thing and still is the worst thing. I will put a millstone. It's better that they have a millstone around their neck than you get in the way of a child, especially that. They want to normalize it because this is Satan behind this. Man, don't forget this, that the devil, in the end and all through history, appears as an angel of light. And it's no wonder his workers appear like workers of righteousness. You're going to be fooled. Do you know Donald Trump? It wasn't $300,000 he made off the Bible. He changed the Bible by putting the Constitution in it. Revelation, I think it's 20 or 20, well, I forget. It says, those who add to this book, I will add the plagues of this book. So it's coming. He made not $300,000 from it, but over $1 million. That's more money than you and I know what to do with. He made off the Bible. He's not saved, you're fool. Man, I feel angry about this because you don't see who this man is. He's a man of lawlessness, the man of sin. And because, there's people who say, you shall know them by their fruits. Oh man, you're going to be deceived because you're going to see fruits and then you're going to see on the other side, it's going to look real ugly. You willingly forget his past and no, it's not about forgiveness because he doesn't want forgiveness. He's an evil man. He's the most evil man that's ever lived. Pardon me. He deceives all the leaders of the world, brings them together. It's all about money. It's not about the middle class. The middle class are complaining to the uttermost. He did not fulfill the promises. He's not fulfilling the promises that he's saying. He's actually he's getting all the billionaires together. This is what he's doing. He cares about his bank account, man. And, like no other time in history, for being president and having, what's it called? What's the name for this? A conflict of interest in business. They're breaking every law that you ever could in the U.S. Congress. Worse than Biden by far. They got their fingers in everything. And we're not talking just millions. We're talking many, many billions of dollars. I'm going to take a little break here, guys, and get more thoughts going in my head. So we're in that time. You see it. They're trying to get under our skin. We have advertisements coming every which way at us. They've turned men into women, women into men. They've turned, as Isaiah said, woe to them who evil, good, good, evil. Bitter for sweet, sweet for bitter, right? We live in an upside down world. An upside down world. What hasn't gone wrong? Have you seen all the weather events? The sun, the earthquakes? I don't think I have to remind you of those. Did you remember the earthquake in Turkey? It ripped up. Have you looked at the canyon that it created? It created a canyon that's like 40 feet wide and like 30 feet deep. That goes on for, I don't know, for quite some distance. They just happened in succession. Volcanoes set off by earth. We've never seen this stuff before. Why should I remind you of the times and the seasons when you quite clearly know them? But you have this doubt in your mind that the Antichrist could be here right now, and that what I'm saying about Apophis is true. That's the biggest thing that and listen, I will be the very first person, and I won't have shame. I'm not a prophet, but I see something to say that I was wrong. So what am I even speaking about anyways? It took me quite a while just to get to that, right? And actually, you know what? Let's read Revelation 8 first. When he opened up just give me a second. I'm afraid to flip through screens, guys. You know, when you do some work, enough, you don't want it to be for nothing. Because people are so lazy these days, they won't even click to the next video. When he opened so this is Revelation 8. When he opened this, I'm going to say this first. So Tom Horn was following this religiously. This was his biggest interest. That's words from his mouth. He believed that this was the prophecy. Not only did he think by looking and seeing, knowing that it was coming, but he had a vision of it. And his other belief that he was writing in Petrus Romanus came true. And he was right by 1 year. So he predicted that a year ahead of time. I would say that's a pretty... Who would get that? When he opened the seventh... Oh, no, I'll say this. They're telling us that... And they're not bringing news to this. It's not... This should be the biggest topic that has ever come across your table. And on the news... We know the dinosaurs, so-called dinosaurs, were wiped out. And maybe they were. 66 million years ago. By a 2-mile wide asteroid, the Tunguska, not Tunguska, but the Yucatan Peninsula, the Caribbean area, where you can see where an asteroid hit, and they say that's where the dinosaurs were wiped out. You can't avoid that science, right? You can see how big that stuff is. That's huge. That is a planet killer. Not everything would have died immediately from that far away, but everything would eventually die from a winter, turning to winter-like conditions. But there was Tunguska also in 1908 that hit Siberia, and it was 120 feet, let's say. Let's say it's at maximum 150 feet wide. And this wiped out 800 square kilometers. You know how big that is? 800 square kilometers. That is a wide, vast area. It wiped out every single tree. It was an asteroid that hit. This is 10 times that. And so Apophis is 1,200 feet long. So imagine the CN Tower of Toronto. That was the tallest building for a very long time. Just floating around, heading toward Earth. It's roughly, let's just say, 1,000 feet wide, and it weighs 20 million to say anywhere from 20 to 30 million metric tons, which is, those huge aircraft carriers of the States that house 5,000 Marines. Well, it weighs 200 of those. Can you imagine just one going in the ocean at 30,000 miles an hour? There'd be quite a large tsunami, just one of those. But no, 200. And if it weighs 30 million, then it's 300 of them. So now I'm going to read this. They say it's going to come underneath the satellites. And NASA's website itself says, I know they're lying. Why would they tell you and I that it's going to hit the Earth? Because if it did, a certain amount of time before that, maybe even 10 years before that, people would be willing to murder, to steal, to rob houses, to do sexual assaults, to waste their life by doing drugs and living for today, right? But no, they're telling us it's just something that big. That is the biggest existential threat we've ever faced. if this thing is real. I do believe it's real because they're sending this mission of Osiris. This, they'll try to do a DART mission where they try to strike something into it to alter its course, but this thing's too big. I believe this is the rock of Daniel. Let me read this. So they're saying it's going to miss us by 19,000 miles. The whole circumference of the Earth is probably around that. Do you understand just how close that is? And so on the NASA website, they're saying, oh, it's just going to go by us, but it might hit our gravitational pull. It will. And we don't know, but we believe it could cause mudslides. What are those? There's specific muds. Man, those things can be horrific. And earthquakes around the world for the polar, from the gravitational pull of it, for wherever, who knows, wherever it passes by. So they're saying, I know it's going to hit the Earth because I recognize the times and the seasons. And there's people that think that this type of, they're going to get under our skin. They're doing the digital ID. Do you see now they're trying to take over every aspect of us? In the UK, you see how far this is going. Do you know that they put out 60 drones to watch people on the ground now in the United Kingdom? This is where we are. This is a worldwide thing. This isn't a West thing. They are implementing digital ID. Just wait 1 year. So they brought it out. We know certain countries already have it. And I don't know if that's the mark of the beast. And I was watching a video yesterday, they were trying to deduce whether or not this is a mark of the beast, and I really wasn't. It was a good video too. The reason I said it could be is because, and it more points to yes, is because, and man, I could be wrong, is because it says the mark of the beast is what you need, or else you cannot buy or sell. If you don't have a digital ID, you can't buy or sell. I don't know, but that sounds right, doesn't it? I have to pace, guys, because I have a lot of abdominal pain. I can get a kidney stone moving just from trying to stand in here too long. It's stressful. But I have to read something to you. So I'm trying to give you the dimensions of this thing. It's coming at 32,000 miles an hour or something like that. Just think of the lies that they're telling us. 3-eye atlas. The third eye, you get it? The third eye. Third eye chakra, the other satanic BS. Just think of all the lies on the media. This is Satan steering people. We live in such an evil day. That's why I get out in nature, I stay up with the news. I watch Christian channels, but I make sure to get out and stay healthy and stuff. I got to pace. I wish this video would go to more people because it's hard to speak after a while. My throat. A lot of spasms in my esophagus. That's why. Man, that really causes anxiety, I'll tell you that. To have your esophagus squeezed, but for esophageal spasm. So we know this thing is coming, right? We know this thing is coming. What else do you want to know? You can see through those who are born again. Not even, people who are going to be born again, who are really interested, who are seeing the things that are happening to this world. You know, there's a lot of Christians being made by the things that are happening in this world, the evil, they see it. They see this, and it's hard to avoid. Just think of what they're trying to do to us. We're at the end of time. So I absolutely believe, well, I don't know if this is the rock cut out without human hands. Let's just take a look at that. And then I'm going to read to show you why I believe it's Apophis. And it was Tom Horn who was reading through this that I got this information. Not all this information I get is from Tom Horn, by the way. It's just I believe what he said. So they're talking about all the different powers, right? The king's dream, right? His legs of iron and his feet part of iron and clay, transhumanism. This is why they're trying to get under our skin. And Sam Altman said, the only way that we cannot beat artificial general intelligence. Do you understand what will happen when they release that? He said the only way is to merge with it. His legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. Thou sawest till a stone was cut out without hands, a stone, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay and broke them into pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, the gold, broken to pieces together and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. I'll go to the bottom of this scripture. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. For as much as thou sawest the stone that was cut out of the mountain, with mountain, I'm going to read Revelation in a second, mountain, remember, mountain, that it broke in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God hath made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter. And the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof. Let's read Revelation 8. Now here's the important point, not as if those other things are not important. So this is Revelation 8. When he opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven for about a half an hour. And I saw the 7 angels who stand before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets. Then another angel having a golden censer came and stood at the altar. He was given much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of the saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. And the smoke of the incense with the prayers of the saints ascended before God from the angel's hand. Then the angel took the censer, filled it with fire from the altar, and threw it to the earth. And there was noise, thunder, lightning, and an earthquake. So the 7 angels who had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. Now pay close attention. I'm going to take a sip here and explain to you why this is Apophis. The first angel sounded, and hail and fire followed, mixed with blood, and they were thrown to the earth. And a third of the trees were burned up, and all the green grass was burned up. That's the first trumpet. This is after you and I are saved. So, now think about this. How do I say this? I forgot how to say that the correct way. this is wormwood. I just believe it's wormwood. Hail and fire mixed with blood, and they were thrown to the earth. What does that mean? And the trees were burned up, 1/3, and all the green grass. It's going to come through our atmosphere, and it's going to burn up. And it's going to look like blood and fire. And it's going to look like hail, because there's going to be a lot of different rocks coming off of this thing. It's pretty easy to describe when you see this. Then the second angel sounded, and something like a great mountain. Does that match what Daniel is? Burning with fire was thrown into the sea, and 1/3 of the sea became blood. That's the same thing. This is all one thing. Because it first comes through the atmosphere, and then boom, you see the big part of it. And something like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea, and 1/3 of the sea became blood. 1/3 of the living creatures in the sea died, and 1/3 of the ships were destroyed. It makes sense. This is a, like I say, partial planet killer, because it's going to hit the ocean. And you're going to say, well, what about the land there in the first one? All the green grass. It's because of all the things that are coming off of it. Who knows what God has in store? Then the third angel sounded, and a great star, so in the Greek, right, it transforms to asteroid, fell from heaven burning like a torch, and it fell. Is John still talking about the same thing? Or is this another one? It can only be one or the other, right? Does it break in two? Who knows how John is seeing this? Because he sees this, and then he sees this, and then he sees this, and then, do you get it? It keeps going to then. The first angel sounded, right? That's the first, how that begins in the first. The second, it's then. And then the third, it's then. And then the fourth is then. A great star fell from heaven, burning like a torch, and it fell on 1/3 of the rivers and on 1/3 of the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. 1/3 of the waters became wormwood, and many died in the water because it was made bitter. Why would this happen? Well, Dave, it can't be wormwood, because it's going to do all these strange things. It's going to make things bitter and stuff. Well, when it comes to the atmosphere, first, we don't know what that's made of and what the reactions will be scientifically, right? From scientific papers and scientific documentaries that I've seen, with the one that hit 66 million years ago in Tunguska, they said it was so bad because it struck the limestone. So if it hits the right spot, it can turn bitter. And 1/3 of the waters became wormwood, and many men died from the water because it was made bitter. This is God's wrath. Then the fourth angel sounded, and 1/3 of the sun, 1/3 of the moon, 1/3 of the stars, 1/3 of them were darkened. 1/3 of the day did not shine, and likewise the night. So when that hits, who knows what goes off? Volcanoes, all types of stuff. But whatever, it's going to create a big cloud. And living here in Canada with the wildfires, almost on a daily basis, you could see the sun. It looked like it was, you could hardly see it, number one, or it was darkened, and it looked like blood. It was really eerie. I saw it quite a few times. I'm just going to stop there because my abdomen. I'm just trying to think what else I have left to say. Now you can decide if what NASA is telling you, and if you look at the very description of NASA, the translation is deception. They're all liars. All these places. They're good for nothing. Their logo is the snake tongue. And I forget how to pronounce it, the Apophis. It's the big snake going around eating its own tail. And I'm not into those moon landings and whether we went to space and the firmament and stuff like that. I just find that part not worth getting into. Because unless you have a rocket of your own, you can't really prove it. Build a rocket. to me, I keep making these to show you that this is the end. Period. That's the end. I've seen who the antichrist is. I see who the false prophet is. And I see this thing coming. It's going to be Friday the 13th. Oh man, I missed a big part. Pardon me. Pardon for all the breaks and stuff. I have a lot of abdominal pain. Like, to you, this would be a 10 on 10 pain. For me, it's like a 9 on 10. So give me a break and I'll talk about this very quickly, because it's a very important point. And I should have said this first. It keeps escaping my mind too. Go watch Tom Horn. Type up Tom Horn Apophis and just listen. With intent. Tom Horn died. He never got to see what was happening with this. Not that, you know, like it's 2029 already. But that he said something that came true. I don't know how much better you could ever get than a prophecy coming true. Right? Especially in these end times, we're looking for this hope. Because if everything that we believe this is Apophis, this is what he said. I'm not saying this is a scripture of the Bible. But he still made this prophecy, though. And it was right. That means he got two impossible things right. He did. He guessed that the Pope would step down, and he also guessed, he said, you can tell how much trouble I'm having with my throat, right? He said, Apophis, according to Revelation, is Trumpet 1 to 4. That is roughly the midpoint where wrath begins. We just call it the middle of all tribulation. Let's just call it that, okay? It's the midpoint. If that is the midpoint, and we have the date of the day Apophis is going to strike, April 13th, 2029, it only makes biblical mathematical sense to count back 3.5 years to land on the day of tribulation. People, share this video. I want people to know this. So, I forgot. I was saying in my videos, I was speaking to my people who watch me, brothers and sisters. I was counting down the days, and then I forgot. And about 5 days had passed, roughly 5 days had passed. And because it said to look, Tom Horn said count back, so it was October 13th, was 3.5 years, counting backwards from April 13th, 2029, the day of that they say it's going to only come within 19,000 miles. They would never tell us. And he was wondering what was going to happen on that date. And the whole Christian world who believes in eschatology and just believes in our God, our wonderful God, he was looking to what would happen on that day. We've been waiting for the covenant with many forever. The promises of God, Daniel 9:27, and it happened. And I made a video and I came out and I said, guys, look, October 13th, Trump goes to El Sheikh, Egypt, where they had a conference of peace, 2025. When they say peace and safety, sudden destruction. They've been saying peace and safety for so long. It fell on that very day. Trump had a big long table by himself, and behind him, there was about, 20 countries, major countries, and they were all coming up to the table, and they were signing. I didn't even think about that. Think about that. I believe Trump is the Antichrist, okay? So at a table, he's sitting by himself at a big long table. That means power. And then the strong nations of the earth, were coming up and they were each signing. What would you call that? And it fell on that day, and that's how I'm going to finish this. And this is just the nature of people who, I'm not saying you're not saved because of this, but lack faith in that it's true. That it fell on that very day. Don't let that leave your mind. Don't let that leave your mind. Things are happening so quickly. I'm going to leave it at that because of my abdomen. I have to recover and do my schoolwork now. God bless, guys. I always want God to be able to, through the Spirit, to tell me these things in the best way possible. It's very tough with I can only speak well after a certain amount of time, usually about 20 minutes. It depends, too, on my day. But you may find what I say far-fetched, but that's up to you. I know what I'm going to hold on to. 2029 is what I'm holding on to. That means I know I have to wait till that date. And I'm sure persecution will rise up. Look what they're doing to people. Look what they're doing to the countries around the world. God bless.